You are listening to Heard It First on Radio Platform. Welcome back to the show, and I'm delighted to announce that I am now joined live in the studio by Part-Time Signals. Welcome to the show, all. How are you doing today?
Good.
Great.
Yeah,
great.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, nice to be here.
Thanks for coming down to our Cardiff studio today and into Radio Platform. It's great to have you finally on the show after playing your music for quite a long period of time as well, and obviously the new EP as well, which was released recently. So I guess before we get into some of the interview and the questions, do you mind sort of going one by one, like who you are and what role you play in the band as well?
Yeah, I'm Jacob. I sing and play guitar.
I'm Gavin, I play drums and general mischief.
A bit of singing as well.
We all do a bit of singing.
We all do a bit of singing. I'm Michael, I play keys and a little bit of singing. And then he's not here today, but we've also got Sam in the band who plays bass and sings as well.
Well, thanks for making the effort to come down today and for coming on for an interview. Your EP is out now. It's called The Window. Sounding really great. And from what I can recall, it was recorded last year, released this year.
Yep.
So how does it feel to finally have that out in the world? And can you talk me through a bit about the inspiration behind the EP?
I think it feels really great to have it finally out. It's been in the can, recorded and sort of ready to go for a while, and we've got more in the can as well, ready to get. We've sort of got a lot coming out, but it's going to be the first of a few releases, which is really satisfying.
And it was kind of like the EP was kind of came. It wasn't really planned, was it? It was like we had like 15 tracks. We wanted to do an album. We had 15 tracks, and then it was almost like an EP of B-sides in a way.
I think after recording the EP was almost songs that we weren't sure would make it to the album, but by the time we finished recording them, we kind of just really liked them, didn't we?
Yeah.
The things we added to them.
Yeah.
We had to release it as its own thing because there wasn't room in the album for them, but we weren't willing to just let them go.
Yeah, didn't want to scrap them.
So it's nice that they've got their own little platform now.
Yeah, and they also like kind of bridge the gap between the debut album and the next album. Because I feel like the two singles we released, and they were like all those things was.
That was like the first song we
we've been
played.
playing that for the ages, haven't we?
Yeah.
That was like the first song we'd written after the first album, and then looking at the other window was like, part 2 to one of the tracks off the first album. So it just made sense to have them on the EP.
That's kind of where the name The Window came from as well then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just to kind of fit with the song and the music video we did for that song as well, just to make it all cohesive.
Yeah. So it all fits really nicely.
Yeah.
And last year you were supported by the Horizons Launchpad Fund 2024. You received funding from them, which helped you to record this EP. So would you mind sort of talking me through a bit about the importance of Horizons Cymru and how they helped you to actually launch this EP and your music?
Well, I think it's just hard. It's, we're all kind of working. Well, we all work, and it's just expensive trying to make something. So
to make like good quality music, it's hard to fund it. So it was good to get like funding so that we could actually pay for that, and we didn't have like that stress was gone. Having to worry about paying for things, and
it would have been
the freedom, didn't it, to be able to do.
Would have been a real stretch if we'd have tried to come up with the funds ourselves to go to a studio. We went to Giant Wafer Studios in Mid Wales, which so many bands go to because it's so good. They give you the run of the place. We stayed there for a few days. We just recorded constantly, and it'd be hard to fund that all ourselves, and so that was amazing. And then I'd like to think that with the money that they did give us, we've come up with a lot.
Yeah,
I think
which is
so.
great. Just you need that little help, and then you can do so much with it.
that was kind of part of the application, wasn't it? Just saying,
Yeah,
what we did with less money the first time and what we will try and do with a bit more money and funding.
Yeah, we definitely pushed it to the brink, didn't we? Like, you know, like we
So
we hired
a lot of 4, 5 a.m. nights or
so
mornings.
we were there for how many days was it? Like
Five-
working days, like us actually working in the studio.
It was 5 days, but we went up the night before and the day after, so I think we were there for like 6 nights, was it? Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. But because we had 15 tracks, we still didn't finish everything, did
No.
we? And we were like going till like 4 or 5 in the morning, starting at like 11, 12 in the morning.
So each night you kind of recorded later would mean that the next day you'd start a bit later and you're kind of just pushing it.
Yeah. So it definitely helped us.
Yeah.
Big time, giving us the time and to actually work on it as much as we wanted, you know.
Yeah, release-wise as well, they Simon from Horizons came up and videoed whilst we were recording and stuff and did a little interview, so that and then he's made a sort of promo video that has been put out when we released the EP, so they've helped with content creation and stuff like that as well, which is obviously essential.
And it's obviously really paid off for you. It's a really great sounding EP. I'm guessing the response has been positive to it as well. It's always nice to see your music out in the world and listened to by lots of people as well.
Yeah, we've had a few reviews that have been really nice.
Yeah.
And we get to come into cool radio stations and chat to people, and yeah, it's cool.
So I guess you mentioned you all have like jobs as well. So it's obviously very difficult to work around that. So how often do you actually get to sort of practice as a band and actually come together and create stuff?
Not much.
Well, it depends, because
Goes
before
up
we
and
went
down.
to the studio, we for about 2 months.
Yeah, we were meeting once a week.
Once a week for about 2 months before going to the studio, so we could finish everything. And that really helped then, I think, when we got in the studio, because it was like, you know, we were just ironing out the details while we were in the studio then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When everything was finished, it was like little details to work on or whatever.
We've been lucky enough to get a few gigs as well, supporting people like Half Happy, who you mentioned have been here before. So whenever we've got stuff coming up, we all obviously make sure we're getting together regularly for that. But then it does lull when, you know, we're in different bands, we have tours, like when we're away for weeks at a time or whatever. And then now we're sort of ramping things back up again we're writing new material and probably got another, I don't know, album and an EP that we're working on. And the more we meet up, the more excited we are about the new stuff, the more real it becomes, and then so it snowballs and then lulls, and then I think it's a good way to work, actually.
Yeah, we don't make it feel too much like it's hard work or anything. We just have a good time.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, like, you know.
When it just happens when it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I think
it happens organically, doesn't it? A lot of the time, it's like just when we're all free and feeling like it and whatever, you know.
It's a nice way to do it as well as friends, and obviously just come together and just creating whatever comes to mind.
Yeah.
It's a 5-track EP as well, which is, I think, a really nice number for the EP. It's really chilled out vibes, indie music as well on that EP. Could you talk me through a bit about like the inspiration behind it and like the influences that you take into creating music as well?
Well, that differs a lot as well, doesn't it? I mean, this time before the studio, we created like a playlist of where we could all collaborate on it, of like influences and things.
Mostly Gav could collaborate.
Yeah, there's a lot of my. I love making playlists, so that's what happens. But yeah, it's just putting in like references and ideas and of like, you know, the angle we want to take with the album. And
I think generally that was essential because we've got such broad listening tastes. Like, I've got a jazz degree, which is really cool. But like these guys, I didn't know what krautrock was, and like these guys had to teach me what that was. And then it's important to have shared stuff that you don't want to sound like. So you have to listen to albums and stuff to okay, that's what you meant when you said you like krautrock. I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
But in terms of the sound,
I feel like there's never much of a conversation or thought that it doesn't feel like there's ever much intent. I feel like what happens more is when we're in a room writing, like what might happen is you might just say like, or even like Sam might say sometimes, like where someone will just reference a bit of a drum bit in a song. So it's not so much like we want to sound like this, but it's just like, this drummer did a cool thing.
Or it's like
we'll
production ideas, like sounds of instruments and how did they get our sound, and this would be cool for this track, to try and get something a bit lo-fi or whatever.
Or the Mr. Brightside hi-hats.
Yeah, those 16-inch hi-hats.
I think that's what we do, don't we? We're like the hi-hats from
Conspiracy
Mr. Brightside, on Conspiracy Queries on the EP, or like, but also with like a Red Hot Chili Peppers influence on the drum beat. Oh. But then, sometimes we have conversations in the same track about like, adding loads of layers of phased guitar, and we want to sound like Tame Impala on the guitar or something else. So it's
there's like a blend of
real
stuff.
mix.
But yeah, we were trying to steer away from the Chili's sound. As much as we possibly could. It was quite hard, I will say.
I think it was just one drum beat that sounded like Danny California.
Yeah.
And then
once we said it was just...
we tried so many different other things, and we were like, you know what?
Nothing works.
That's what it needs.
Yeah.
We just stuck with it.
It's like it just works, so just leave it.
So safe to say you aren't really defined by one typical genre. It's just whatever you like to do.
I think.
But kind of.
Usually when there's an idea to begin with, it's just kind of like trying to make the song into the world of the idea.
I think as well,
the
it
song,
depends.
like if there's something sounds quite like laid back, it's just trying to like keep it. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it does depend on where you are at the time of doing it as well.
Yeah.
Like when for the first album, there's a song called "The Man," and at the time, "Running Up the Hill," Kate Bush was very popular again because of Stranger Things, and we would write in that song, and I was just like, I'm going to chuck that beat on there because it was cool. I was just like, that's such that entire album, like that Kate Bush album, is amazing. So I was like, I'm just going to steal that drum beat and chuck it on, and it's kind of that's how it works for me anyway. It's like wherever I am. Like I'd been listening to a lot of krautrock, over the last year or so. So that's why that kind of stuff has been
every
coming
release
into my.
Every release is a snapshot of where your ears are at the time.
Yeah. So maybe you might get a krautrock third album. That'd be cool.
And you've mentioned briefly about some of the gigs you've done in the past. You've played some iconic venues already, including Kuru and Carmarthen.
We didn't actually
No,
play.
You didn't play. You didn't.
It was because of the storm. We didn't make it.
fair
in the
enough.
end.
Yeah, it was a really bad storm.
Yeah, I was stuck in Belfast, and Carmarthen's a hard place to get to fast in a storm. Anyway, but
you were due to play it.
Yeah.
And you've played some other great gigs as well.
Yeah.
And venues in Cardiff and beyond as well. I guess I wanted to sort of ask, are there any plans for gigs this year and coming up anytime soon as well?
Yes is the short answer.
Yeah.
I think we wanted to get this release out, use it as a sort of way to show people where we're at the moment, and try and make some connections further afield. We've never been too far.
St. David's is pretty far.
St. David's is pretty far. But yeah, the project, the band has always been writing and recording focused.
Yeah.
And then it's only sort of after releases and stuff people have asked us to support their band or whatever, and we're like, oh, like maybe we should try and do this live. Like,
yeah.
it's definitely been that way around, and
But,
it's
mm.
that's where we're.
That's not like primarily like like our focus or like gigging is. It's like if a gig comes in, we're like but I think it started as like a recording project.
I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier. There's only so much time to meet up, and I think the time is spent more with writing and recording, and then if gigs come in that we can play, then great.
Yeah.
But that's what we'll always kind of prioritise, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I guess you've mentioned about songs as well. You've got loads in the pipeline. Are there plans to release that next album within the next year or so?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
I won't ask for a specific date
No.
because you probably don't know either. But,
We're still finishing bits on the album, but yeah, I think the plan is to get it done maybe by summer and then released, in this year. Yeah.
Big ask, but yeah.
Well, it'll be done when it's done.
Yeah.
But,
Because Sam,
try.
our bass player, is the producer. Like he produces and mixes, so there's a lot for him. You know, he's not only in the band playing and writing with us, he's actually producing and mixing a lot as well. So it's a lot of work for him,
Yeah.
Like it was a lot of, because it's not like I imagine if he's recording somebody else, he might put like slightly less effort in, or he wouldn't have as much invested in it, is what I mean, as us. So he really makes sure it's perfect, and he wouldn't say it's finished unless he was certain, So he's got a lot of work to do. I mean, bless him.
Yeah, Horizons helped us out with money to record.
Yeah.
But everything else is us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of with these independent bands like yourselves, a lot of people do a lot of the work themselves. But it's always nice to be supported by projects in Wales to actually push and get stuff released. So the natural progression from an EP is to release an album as well.
Yeah. Another person to say a big up to is Chitty at Bubble Wrap Collective, which is the label that we've put our stuff out on, and he's been really good at, like, even if it's just telling us how to do something and then we go and do it, or like what's involved, or he's done a lot for us as well. So like,
he's involved in like both artworks as well, like the artwork for the first album and for the EP and everything. So he's been a big help, really, hasn't he? In a lot of things.
So it's always nice to have that, like, connections within the industry to actually be able to produce and record your own music as well. So the track we're actually going to play is off the latest EP. It's called Dust. And before we actually play that, do you mind sort of telling me a bit more about that track in particular and like the meaning of some of the lyrics on it as well?
Yeah, it was when you started on piano, right?
Yes, this was actually when I was living in the tram shed, and we had a bit of issues with the landlord there.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah, and it was when I was just waiting for the dust to settle down. It was just kind of wanting to get out of that place. And it's kind of waiting for the dust to settle down was kind of the idea.
Yeah.
But it's quite broad.
And it was,
I think.
I think it was weirdly, it was a track that we struggled with for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To like sort of figure out the good ideas and and not overdo them and things like that. And I think it has a clear like Pink Floyd sort of feel to it. And we were like, do we lean into that, or do we, what do we do? And we decided to just lean into it because it's, why wouldn't you? Like, it's Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
I love it. It's probably my favourite track on the EP. I think. I can't remember much else, but I just remember it being quite difficult to get together.
There's a lot of layers added in after recording.
Yeah.
Wasn't there?
Oh yeah, with the tape delay. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So thanks so much for coming on the show today and for giving us an insight about the latest EP and everything else that you do as well. It's been great to have you on the show, and thanks so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for it. Yeah.